has life slowed down? Are we playing golf? What's happening?
Well, certainly I was looking forward to that. I envisioned retirement being golf and learning how to play the organ. I've always wanted to play the organ, and in fact, we bought an organ. And I was going to learn all these new languages. I bought all these Rosetta Stones, but it has not turned out that way at all. After the National Prayer Breakfast last year, my life changed dramatically. I found myself completely in the middle of the political spectrum in the United States. And then there were all these people who suddenly want me to run for president. And, you know, that was not on my bucket list, to be honest with you. I've noticed that everybody who goes into that office, whether it be for 4 years or 8 years, look like they've been there for 20 years. And so I didn't necessarily want to do that. But I learned a long time ago that, you know, the Lord does things for a reason. He puts you in positions for a reason. And I was shocked when I was asked to speak at the National Prayer Breakfast. Because I had done it before, 16 years earlier, when President Clinton was in office. And I wasn't aware that anyone ever did it twice. And I said, has anyone ever done this twice? And they said, one person has. And I said, who's that? And they said, Billy Graham. And I knew I had some big shoes to fill. And I knew the Lord had something He wanted me to say, but I had no idea what it was. And I kept writing stuff down and then changing it. And finally, the night before the prayer breakfast, I just went to sleep. And when I woke up the next morning, I knew exactly what it was.
Wonderful. And I have to ask you some questions about that, because we as Seventh-day Adventists understand the role that the United States is to play, not only now but in the future. And to me, it's refreshing to see that your love for your country is causing you not to just say, oh, well, we're all going to, you know, oblivion and great, but Jesus is about to come. You are actually trying to make your country a better place.
Absolutely.
And you've been very brave in doing that. Tell me about the United States today and the whole political landscape.
Well, recognize that, you know, this is a country that was established for, of, and by the people. It was never supposed to become for, of, and by the government. And people were supposed to be free in every way. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. All of these things are under enormous attack right now in the United States. They have been for a while. There's an agenda. And you know, people who read a lot know exactly what I'm talking about. If you go back and you look at the writings of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin and Saul Alinsky, and they talk about how important it is to bring the United States into line with everybody else in order to achieve a new world order. But in order to do that, they would have to knock down the strongest pillars, the Judeo-Christian belief system and the strong family values. Those are the things that are under attack. And that's why I am coming out so strongly against those things. And also the fact that, you know, we have to be willing to stand up for what we believe. Most Americans actually do believe in God. But the media has been so hard on people who proclaim their faith that most people are afraid. And they've been beaten into submission by the political correctness police. And I've declared war on political correctness. And a lot of people have joined that war. And so it's obviously getting quite a bit of traction. And I don't know what role the Lord has for me in all this. I do know, in looking at prophecy, that the United States will play a big role, that there has to be a return first to a religious awakening. And more than likely, any persecution, particularly the Sabbath, will come from the right, not from the left. And people will get a little bit overzealous, and then they'll say, see how much better things are now that we've come back to God? And we need to go completely back to Him, and we need to go, and they're going to go overboard. I hope by that time I'm not around anymore.
Well, Dr. Carson, we give you, if you ever do become president, you're invited back to preach for us. Look, I'm looking from afar, and we're certainly praying, and I listen to the courage that you have. That's what impresses me about Dr. Carson, because to have President Obama sitting 6 feet away to get up and say the things he said wasn't a soft thing to do.
No,
it was a brave thing to do.
And there was a penalty for that. You know, I got an IRS audit for the first time. First they said, we're just going to look at your real estate holdings. But you know, we're meticulous. We cross every T and dot every I. So we couldn't find anything. They said, well, let's just expand to an entire audit. And they couldn't find anything. Well, let's just do another year. And for 3 months they kept it up, and finally they couldn't find anything, so they went away. But also, one of the organizations I sat on the board for that helps the children of prisoners. And they got $1 million grant every year from the Justice Department. Well, after that, the Justice Department called them up and said, we know who's on your board, we don't have any money for you. And there were several other things that I'm not free to talk about, but it's unbelievable. But the thing that keeps me going is Romans chapter 8. It says, if God be for you, who can be against you? You don't need to fear anybody as long as you have.
I've got one last question I'd like to ask you, Dr. Carson, because I know, look, I watched the movie that was made about your life, and I'm a bit of a softie as I'm getting older, but it makes me cry, it touches me so much. The way God seems to be leading your life every day, how do you spend time with God? It's a very personal question, but I just for all of us here, what's your journey in your personal devotion?
Well, first of all, you know, Candy and I pray when we get up every morning together, and we read from the Bible. And we do that before we go to bed at nighttime also. But I also, before I do any media interviews or do any speaking, I always ask God for what I should say and how I should react. And He always comes up with the right thing. You never have to be concerned. And, you know, it's a great comfort to me. A lot of people look at the position I'm in, they feel very uncomfortable for me, and they say they're afraid. I'm not afraid in the slightest, because throughout my entire career, He has been there. When I've had very, very difficult surgical procedures, things that had never been done before, I didn't worry about it because I knew who was in charge. And I know who's in charge now. It makes all the difference in the world.
Amen. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, and God bless you today to share God's word.